welcome back. It's Carrie Arnold again with ABX Air, and we've got some exciting folks on the podcast today. I'm joined with Adriana and Olivia and our beautiful
me.
Mama Cat.
And our unnamed bear. Remember, we need a name for the bear.
Yes,
so please
we
comment.
do. We do. But so we're going to dive right in, and let's talk about what the cat has drug in today. I'm joined with Olivia and Adriana, who both work for Cape Air, and they are based. Cape Air is headquartered out of Hyannis, Massachusetts.
Yes.
Okay. Where are you based?
So I'm based in Billings, Montana. We have 3 different regions.
Is that where you're from?
I'm from New York originally.
So how does a girl from New York get to Montana? Because that sounds exciting.
I was based in the Northeast for a while. We were in Rockland, Maine together. And then I wanted to switch it up. And that's our furthest destination.
So how many bases does Cape Air have?
1 million.
So many.
Like actually.
How many do they not have is the question.
Yeah.
Okay. And so where are you based?
I'm in Rockland, Maine. It's in between Portland, Maine and Bar Harbor, Maine.
Okay.
Bahaba.
Believe it or not.
Bahaba.
She's got that down, right?
Yeah.
I have never been to Maine. It's actually on my bucket list. I want to go to Portland in the fall. So I'm excited. Maybe I should take Cape Air there,
You
right?
should.
Yeah, you should.
You should.
Let's talk a little bit about, because our viewers are going to be interested in hearing like a quick synopsis of your story. Like, how did you get interested in flying, and how did you get the hours to get to Cape Air, and how many hours did you get? Or did you have whenever you started at Cape Air?
So I started with 800 hours. I come from an airline family. Both my aunts work for Lufthansa, so did my grandma, and then my dad's a dispatcher at JetBlue, and my uncle's in cargo at Royal Air Maroc.
Okay, so you've had the aviation lingo in your blood.
Yes.
Okay, so as a little girl you wanted to fly.
Yeah, my dad's a private pilot, so we
Okay.
went flying.
So he got you started there.
Yes.
And how many hours did you have?
I started with 800 hours.
But
Cape Air.
so you at Cape Air.
Yes.
Okay. And so what are your goal? What's your goal? What do you see yourself doing?
Eventually I'd like to go to JetBlue or something bigger than Cape Air, but that's my stepping stone at the moment. But I feel like eventually
Say it.
You
I want
be
to
a
start my
car-
own airline. I want to take over the world.
I want to do the most I can, go to the biggest plane. Like I would love to be on like a
So you want to be a
747.
cargo cat?
Maybe.
I mean, you know.
Yeah.
What are you flying? Are you flying this plane?
Yeah, I fly the 402.
Okay, you're on the 402. What are you on?
I'm on the Tecnam P212 Traveler. It's a
How
high
did-
wing.
Do you fly the 402 as well? Are you dual
I
qualified?
have plans to go to training and be dual qualified, but as
Okay.
of right now, I'm just on the Tecnam.
So let's talk about you. Where do you live and where are you based?
Based in Rockland, Maine, but I'm from Ankeny, Iowa. It's a suburb just north of Des Moines. And I got into aviation. I loved planes growing up. And I don't have any airline employees in my family, so it's just me.
I didn't either. We all had to get...
It was just
I had
me.
to marry into it.
Yeah. And I didn't really see it being feasible until my brother actually went to flight training. He had the dream before. I had the dream initially, and he stole it from me, and he went to flight training in Indianapolis at Lift Academy. And
Really?
yeah.
Is he flying commercially now?
He is.
Where's he at?
He'll be starting training at Republic Airways, but he also went the Cape Air route.
Okay.
So-
This sounds like a great company.
Yeah.
So you're on the Tecnam, and tell me what's the best part of your day, do you think? Like, what do you guys love about this job?
Honestly, I really enjoy the low IFR flying. I don't know about you.
Are you a STEM girl? You like the science and math and putting some of that together?
It's just like more exciting because we're like actually hand flying. We do have autopilot, but most of the time I'm hand flying the approaches in, and
wow,
it's more exciting when you're like getting to minimums. You're like, okay, is it there? Okay, there it is. Land.
Such a thrill.
Yeah.
What about you?
I would say my favorite part is just the interaction. Like, I love being able to see all the pilots in Boston and talk with them. And also, our passengers are right behind us all of the time. So I'm briefing them. Anytime anything goes, like we have to hold or something like that, I turn around. I take my headset off, turn around, and yell at them that we are holding or whatever it may be. So
Noelle has a funny story about that.
I do. I literally shared it at one of our last podcasts, but
Oh my
it was
God.
about the lady who was gripping the back of my seat, and I thought that I was flying the approach pad. I'm like looking at the airspeed and all stuff, but my seat was just going back farther and farther, and I just didn't realize it. Like, I thought it was like an optical illusion. I don't know what the heck was going on. And then when I leaned back far enough in the seat, I felt her fingers like behind my back, and then her head was like right here. It was kind of like, don't do that. But I'm on final, and it was like flying into Martha's Vineyard, and it was my first flight like out of training. I was like, this is something.
Yeah.
So it sounds like it would be like appealing to be able to move around with this job, take on like a new city and try to see different parts of the country. What was appealing for you?
I like what you said, like moving around. I've been in 3 different bases since I started with Cape Air.
Which ones?
I started out as an FO at New Bedford, that's in southern Massachusetts, and then I went to Rockland, Maine as a captain, and I moved then to Billings a few months ago.
Okay. And what about?
I've just been in Rockland, actually. But I do, being in the Northeast for now, I do get to see a different part of the country, and I don't know. I like being able to travel easily from the East Coast. Yeah.
So I guess that'd be like a benefit if you wanted to see the country. Like, we get to see different continents sometimes, right? Mm-hmm. Any other benefits that aspiring pilots that want to go to Cape Air would think about?
I really like that we do all of our planning. We don't have dispatchers, we have flight followers, which are similar to dispatchers, but we're checking our own NOTAMs and the weather and filing our own flight plans, things like that. So I feel like that...
Developing those hardcore skills.
Yes, it's not just handed to you. We have to do all the hard work, basically.
Yeah.
Do you do that through... What do you do that through? What app?
I'm pretty old school. My flight instructor was in his 60s when he trained me.
Yeah.
So I'll use like flight service.
Okay.
And then at work, our iPads have Garmin.
Okay.
But on my off time, I use ForeFlight. So I'm kind of all over the place.
Okay.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
That's what we used at Contour, ForeFlight.
Just a mix of things, honestly, like SkyVector, ForeFlight, Garmin. Aviationweather.gov is a great one. I love that website. The GFA tool.
That's what I for the what was it, Maltese crosses and all that.
Yeah.
I figure out where those are at. They matter where that Cape Air flies. Yeah.
And especially like we still use paper charts.
I was just I wrote that down because I was like, I wanted to talk about paper right here.
Yeah.
So for me, at least, because I worked at Cape Air for a little bit, that was the hardest part transitioning into the 121 world, was going from paper and getting used to an iPad, because it was just, people think that paper is complicated, but in fact, like, all the approaches that you do there's like a mark in the same spot. You just flip it open, it already opens up to the look at the airport, and it's like there's coffee stains on it or whatever. But you get so used to that, by the time like you transition to 121 or something, people have already been using iPad at their previous employer for so long that there's a little bit of it, just so that you're not that familiar or that fast at it. That's what I struggled with a little bit to Envoy after Cape Air. But so back to, you were saying like you wear multiple hats, which is always like really fun and exciting in the beginning. But then sometimes that's a pain in the butt. And I was based in Manistee, and I've got, Big Dog's going to throw up some pictures on there of wearing multiple hats. But so I flew the Tecnam like you, and he's putting up a picture of the aircraft in the snow. And then the next picture hopefully will show is the pre-flight, which requires you literally shoveling the plane out of the snow and taxing it to pushing it, pulling it where it needs to be, hooking up the Kubota, pulling the Kubota, the plane with the Kubota.
Oh my god!
You're doing it all. You're literally doing it all.
Are you de-icing?
Like no, that's the only thing you don't do. But yeah, it's because you're in the plane by the time you're there. They de-ice and you're in there with all the passengers and whatnot. But
no fuel truck in Manistee either.
No
so
fuel truck.
Yeah.
You are fueling.
Self-fuel.
You self-fuel. You pull up.
Yeah, like where you were going with this, I'm thinking you're gonna hook up the de-icer and start
It's
spraying
close.
it yourself.
That's the only thing you don't do. But that wearing multiple hats. cats, but that, I think that's probably, you guys probably look at that as like a benefit, right? Like going into another airline, they're like, you do it all. And
Yeah.
it's easier here on out if you progress with your career.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So a couple questions I've got for you. So I know Cape Air has a lot of bases and whatnot. What are your passengers like? Who's on your flights? Like, I'm sure it varies between like where you go and the kind of flying you do. What are your passengers like? Because not everyone flies Cape Air. If you ask someone, have you flown Cape Air, they're like, what's that?
Definitely, like, when we're flying in and out of Boston, like, the people going to Nantucket and Martha's Vineyard are way different than the people that I have in Billings.
Yeah.
You don't say.
Yeah. Like, we had a route from the Vineyard to JFK, and I had Bill Murray on one of my flights, and he was super cool.
Right.
But now, I don't have anyone like that in Montana.
That's funny.
Yeah.
But I know that too, like there are also some routes where people are commuting, like Martha's Vineyard, right, is like one of those too sometimes, or whatever, there's some other like rogue places out there where you're bringing over a bunch of electricians or, you know, tradesmen or whatnot. It's something that's pretty common.
But have you ever watched Yellowstone? You don't know who you're going to get on there. You look at the cowboy boots. That's how you tell how much money they have.
So
you
far,
look at the
I
boots.
haven't come across any cowboys, unfortunately.
So I have to ask, we mentioned before too, if those planes are old, right? Look at it.
That is so cute.
That thing is an old plane. The seats are small, right? So I'm sure not everybody fits real well once that thing is full. I just have to ask if you feel comfortable enough answering this question. What's the biggest passenger you've carried?
I've had a 390-pound guy.
390 pounds?
390.
Yes.
How do you know that?
That's, yeah.
Yeah. So
are you sitting here looking at me saying, she's probably about 220?
Our planes are so small. We have to do weight and balances. That's another hat we have to do. Wear.
You're doing your own weight and balance?
Yes. So we have to ask
Do
people.
you do customer
weights.
service too?
When we're delayed or something, we're on the tarmac and we're waiting an hour and a half for parking sometimes.
I'm telling you what, they can run their own airline.
I know, that's what I thought she was going to say.
Yeah, they'll just do it all.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
And how about you? What was your biggest?
Mine was
fish?
400, and it was also, I was doing a TDY assignment in Billings, so it was a Billings passenger.
So if you lose your job, you could probably, you think you'd be good at being the guy that gets your weight at the carnival?
Honestly, I'm way off sometimes. So I'll have, in the 4-2, you're allowed to have somebody in the co-pilot seat. Tecnam, you're not allowed.
Yes.
So I need the biggest person up front sometimes, and sometimes I look at them and I'm like, you don't look like you're 275. You really look like
Should we
smaller.
test her?
Yeah. And then
Should we test her? How much do I weigh?
Oh, that's funny.
Oh,
I'm
come
way
on.
up.
I can handle it. Come on.
130.
Oh, I like you. All right. She's hired. Or go test her. Good answer.
Oh, man. And the other thing I want to ask is, what was training like for anyone who's like interested in Cape Air? How would you describe your training experience?
I would say coming in, it's a little nerve-wracking, but once you meet the trainers and you just study the material, I've never had a problem in training.
Yeah. It's just a lot of studying. I feel like it's like any place you're drinking out of a fire hose.
Yeah.
But the trainers are really helpful.
They want to help.
Yeah, they'll give
to.
you the one-on-one if you ask for it. If you're like, listen, I want to do another flight, they're like, okay, we'll do a flight with you.
Yeah.
But with instructors, I've never had a negative experience with that.
That's really good. And what did you guys do before? And the people in your class, like if you could give us an idea or percentage or how many.
Yeah, like where do they come
from? How did they come
from?
Up? Yeah, how did they?
I'd say most are just starting out their careers. A lot of people come from university and maybe they worked the ramp somewhere. Like I worked at an FBO, so I have that experience. So yeah, and there are some people that come from still within the company of Cape Air, like they worked outside on the ramp or they were in ops or something like that. And I would say the majority of people are coming from, so they're fairly young people.
Okay.
So test question for you both. What is Mocha Hagari?
Oh, Adriana, you got it.
Mocha Hagari.
This sounds like Japanese.
Mocha is make our customers happy and have a good time doing it.
Nice.
Oh, I like
Still
that.
have that.
We have a Mocha Agati here at ABX Air. We do have 5 core elements that we'll throw
Yeah,
out.
but
But
we
do
don't
we
have
have a
we
mocha
don't have
gotti something or
no,
other, whatever?
We might need to get one.
Yeah, we need to make one
yeah,
up.
yeah. So the other thing about training and whatnot, were you guys like the only women in your training class? Did you have females in your
let's talk
class?
about that.
And does Cape Air have a decent representation of women, you think?
For my initial, when I was at FO, there was one other female, and we called them the Gray Gulls. She was a retired American captain, and she was 68, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, and I remember that. That's a good point that you brought up. Cape Air also hires people that have retired from like a Part 121 or come in with a lot of. So you could be flying
a lot
with
of
somebody who's
experience.
got like 15,000 plus hours.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about you?
I was the only girl in my initial, and then in my upgrade, I was also the only girl.
Yeah. Upgrade, I've always been the only girl.
Yeah.
How many pilots total do y'all have?
2
Or close to?
Yeah, it changes all the time,
Yeah.
but I think around the 200 mark.
Yeah.
But.
Do you know how many women that you have there?
Less than 20, I'd say.
Or when you were in training, like in flight school, what was the ratio, or do you remember? Just out of curiosity.
I would say probably around the 10% mark would be a fair, maybe one girl for every 10 guys. Or
something like
that. Yeah, around that.
Yeah.
Did you have any other questions? Because I wanted to end on our funny stories.
I think it sounds like you guys are really perfecting your flying and you're having a really good time doing it. I'm excited to hop on Cape Air and head on up to Massachusetts.
So then I'll end with two questions. So the first one's going to be, for anyone that's interested in Cape Air or flying with Cape Air, what do you recommend? What do you recommend that they do to prepare or to look like a good candidate?
That's a good question.
I think if you're coming in as a street captain, it's a little different than coming in as an FO.
Right.
If you're a FO, you have to be a part of a gateway program.
Okay.
But as street captains, I would definitely suggest that you're familiar of flying on your own, because you're going to be single pilot sometimes.
Yeah.
And you're going to be doing all the prep for your flight. So
That's right.
definitely being confident in all that.
Okay. Manu? Anything?
Yeah, I would agree.
What she said.
Yeah, ditto.
That's good. Yeah. Then one more too. Then I got that. You just reminded me of one more question. Also, why should someone work for Cape Air? What kind of experience will that give them? How would that be another or better alternative than doing something like flight instruction or time building on your own?
So I've done both. I've done all three. And I have learned the most out of Cape Air than I ever did flight instructing. Flight instructing, you're teaching someone how to stall a plane, which is important, but you're teaching the same thing over and over again, and you're not learning at that point. Whereas Cape Air, you're flying and icing through the bad weather, and you're gaining that experience that you wouldn't be doing with a student pilot.
I would say, I agree with that.
Good.
Every single flight, you learn something, you take something away from it, and it just makes you build on your personal minimums to a point where you're super comfortable doing things like flying and icing or flying approaches to minimums, and your training, even going single engine, like doing single engine approaches. I love it. So I think that Cape Air's done a great job helping me feel comfortable, and then also moving forward in my career, taking my experience with Cape Air with me.
That's awesome.
I see both of you going really far. I think you both really, you project a beautiful confidence.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So
Hope that carries through.
That place will do that too.
Yeah.
And so the last thought we'll leave here is, leave us with a funny story, no pressure, but something funny or entertaining from your time at Cape Air or flight training. Anything you can think
yeah,
of.
do you have a funny story?
Something that's funny.
I don't know if it's funny, but sometimes, like, just the passengers we get, because they'll be up at the front with me, and I'll be literally climbing out 700 feet after takeoff, and they're trying to talk to you, and they're like, so, how long you been flying? I'm like, this is not the time. Like, I can't talk to you right now. So I think that part, it's just, I don't know if they're just not, they're not aware. After a few flights, I, would tell the person up front, I'm like, listen, I'm not ignoring you, but I can't talk to you. Like, I have stuff to do. And most of the time, it's the men. And the women get it, and the women are like, they're like, okay, you do you. The men are just like, I want to know what you're doing up there.
Right. You really know what these buttons do?
Oh,
I've had someone tell me that.
Are you old enough to fly this?
Yes.
Yeah.
How old are
I got
you?
$1.
Yeah.
Yeah. got anything for us?
I would say one time on a flight from Rockland to Boston, we had a passenger that was carrying a cat with them, and the cat meowed the entire flight.
They tend to do that.
It was a very loud meowing as well. It was super loud. You could hear it through the Bose. It was like, there was no, even...
ATC could hear it.
Oh, I'm sure. It was so loud, and they were in the farthest row back.
Oh,
I have
that's
no...
funny.
I've actually had a cat.
Oh, that's funny. There she is. That's funny. That's
From the
funny.
dog pound. And the sound. Yeah.
I think that's all we got for you guys.
I think that was it. That was pretty painless.
Thank you
Yeah.
so much.
This was
Yeah.
fun.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank
guys.
you so much.
Yeah.
And much success to you both, Adriana and Olivia. Thanks
Thank
for
you.
joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Everybody, stay tuned because we've got more great episodes coming out. We're going to be in Women in Aviation coming up, Girls in Aviation. I know we're going to be doing that. Remember to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, like, share, and hit that notification button.
Smash it. Also, cats stay safe, reliable, and
On time.